and welcome to The Ganru Show. I'm Golda.
And I'm Wanru.
And this is a podcast that's just like hanging out with your two best girlfriends.
It's like starting a new job with 5 weeks of vacation.
It's like having a slide in the middle of your office.
It's like being late for work, but then your boss calls in sick.
Ugh, I love when that happens. In today's episode, we'll be talking about career boosting tips for the brand new year.
Sounds exciting.
It is. You'll find out a little bit about why Wanru is going to be moving to a new career change in the food service industry.
And you will find out why, if Golda ever met the Stay Puffed Marshmallow Man, she cut him open and crawl right up in there.
It's comfy. Comfy.
So, let's get started. Happy New Year, Ganru listeners.
Happy New Year.
I don't know why it is, but at the start of every year, you start doing a lot of self-evaluation, or at least I do.
Yeah, you take inventory
Exactly.
of your life.
You open up the cabinets of your inner world and start rummaging through
And say, I need more of this. I need less of that.
This
Or
is
what was I thinking?
This is expired. What was I thinking? What a perfect time to brush up your career, right? It's a good time to evaluate yourself, how you're doing in terms of your work. And just like reviewing your curriculum vitae, polishing up that resume, it's a good time to do it because Golda is our resident expert because she has been working in HR for how long?
Over 20 years.
20 years of expertise right
20
here.
years of expertise.
So in this episode, we're going to talk about careers and Golda's going to lead the way and I will be a happy passenger.
Wonderful. Well, as Wanru mentioned, I've been in HR, human resources, for about 20 years with a specific focus on talent acquisition within a corporate environment. So what we wanted to do to jump off 2019 is to boost your career, what should we say, platform, career strategy, career journey. So I'm going to share a couple of things with you that might help in taking a look at your career and setting yourself up for more success. So I'm just going to launch into it if that's okay.
Yeah, and please do because I've had the same job for 10 years.
Oh, that's good.
I am very unambitious and do not...
That's not what that means.
I'm not really interested in climbing the corporate ladder. But for those of you who would like to improve yourself and excel, Golda's here. So let's launch into your tips.
Yeah. And before we do, I wanted to say that this is for any type of career, regardless of the industry. You can apply all, if not many of the things that I'm going to talk about. We're not going to stick on any one main tip for very long. This is meant to just be kind of a broad overview. And we may in future episodes, go into the weeds a little bit about a couple of them. But for now, just to give you a broad stroke and hopefully give you something that is different and new and not just something that you can find on the internet.
All right, awesome.
So the very first thing I would say as you look at 2019, and I know that you've stepped foot into 2019, you're excited to move forward, but the first thing that I would say that you should do is look back at 2018. Look back from January 2018 until December 31, 2018, and as it pertains to your career, take a good hard look at how you did. So give yourself a report card. And what do I mean by that? The very first thing that I would look at is, what did I like to do in my career? What were some of the things that I did that gave me a lot of joy, that made me happy, that made me feel challenged? What did I like or what did I love? Secondly, once you have that list together, now put together a list of the things that you didn't really like so much, that you couldn't care for, whether or not they were responsibilities or maybe interactions with individuals, on your own team or vendors or whomever. Like what were those interactions like? What didn't you like? The other thing I would look at, the third thing I would look at within giving yourself a report card is, what were some of the things that you were blah about?
Oh.
What were the blah things?
Oh, interesting.
And if you get bored writing down the list of the blah things, you could stop midway through. But at least you get a sense of these are the things that really don't wet my whistle so much. These are the things that don't excite me. So look at the things that were blah. Next, I would look at what were your victories?
Oh, nice. Nice.
What were your victories? What were your wins that year? Whether or not it was increasing revenue or getting access to that one casting director or making it to, final auditions or final interviews for a really great position or part. Whatever those victories are, list down what those victories are. And subsequently, how did you feel about those victories? Because sometimes victories are great, but you're like, meh, it's fine.
So what are you going to do with these? So you're going to evaluate what you enjoyed, what you did not enjoy, what was meh, and your victories. What will these things inform you of? Yeah.
So how this exercise is useful is it's actually going to help you design your 2019. And hopefully you will focus more so on the things that gave you joy, that focus on the wins, and you don't have to spend as much time on those things that were meh or things that weren't wins, right? So to get more of more scenarios where you're winning or more scenarios where you're building upon your strengths.
I will tell you what I was winning at in 2018.
Yes, what was it?
Coffee breaks.
Ooh, more coffee breaks.
I had the most variety of snacks. Okay. Everybody was always envious of my snacks.
Ooh, okay.
I had a wide variety of herbal teas.
Okay.
With which I could sample.
Well, the question from there is, how did it make you feel when you brought these teas and other snacks for coffee breaks?
It made me, myself, personally feel wonderful.
Ah, interesting. So what we can gather from that example, for example, is, Wanru is a very social person. Wanru likes to bring joy to others. Wanru likes food.
Actually,
so these are clues.
Should be on number 3. I like food and I like a variety of food. No, but the first 2 also apply. These are all clues. Yes.
Yes. So once you've gathered this list of different things. Oh my God.
Yes. I got it.
Yes.
I know what my dream job is.
What is it? Uh-oh.
Trader Joe's food sample person. Oh my God.
There it is.
Golda, thank you.
You're welcome.
We don't need to continue anymore.
Done.
But no, seriously, that is one of my dream jobs, to be the person making the snacks.
You're giving joy to everybody.
Yeah, and I'm describing the flavor of coffee, like, oh, this is Ethiopian free trade. Let me explain to you how these beans are hand-plucked and things like that.
You're introducing new things to people?
Yeah, and giving samples.
That's a nice thing. Ooh. Nice thing to do.
Okay. But seriously, back to what you were saying.
Yeah.
How do these, because you want to focus on the things you are good at.
Yeah.
Your victories.
Yeah.
And avoid or minimize the negative interactions or the negative aspects of your job.
And also by looking at this blueprint that you had for yourself and everything that you were able to accomplish, I think what's also helpful is, what were the holes? What did you miss?
What do you mean?
I think sometimes we enter a new year thinking, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be in this position. I'm going to spend more time with my family. I'm going to travel. I'm going to blah, blah, blah. I'm going to, you come to the new year with all good intentions.
Yes, as we all do. Yeah.
And you plan and you plan and you plan, but it's in the execution, right? So looking back, you can recall what you thought you were going into and then what you ended up finally doing, right? So in order to, if you seriously do want to, check those things off your list and achieve these things that you want to achieve for the new year, I think it's good to look back and to see how you did, again, a report card for yourself, and maybe what were the reasons why. I mean, you didn't do it, right? There are a lot of legitimate reasons why you didn't get to it. Maybe you got busy. Maybe there was an illness in the family, whatever the case may be. There are a multitude of different reasons, but if there isn't, maybe you had all the time in the world and yet you didn't do it. Maybe there's something else that we need to be looking at for you as you enter the new year. It's always, with every year, it's just recalibrating and just improving upon the previous year.
Fantastic. Yeah. That's actually a fantastic tip.
Yeah. So that would be the very first thing. Now that you're armed with this information, and let's just say that you're employed or you're pretty gainfully employed. What I would do then is to really assess what your skills are.
Ooh.
What are you really, really good at?
Ooh, and is that again looking at your current job or just looking overall as a person what my skills are?
Yeah, I think that it would apply for both. Whether you're employed or you're searching for a job, I think that would be helpful is look at your skills. Look at the skills that you're a rock star at and list it down. List the things that you're really good at, list the things that you're not so great at, and list the things that you're so at. And then take a look at the things that you want to learn.
Interesting.
So one of the things that I always say is every year, add a skill to your existing skill sets. Make yourself a little bit more marketable. So this is a good way, again, taking inventory of your skills gives you enough information so that you can strategize the year. So if there are opportunities to learn additional skills that make sense, then you can move forward in that direction of acquiring those skills.
So let me ask you, do you believe in the philosophy that you should focus on strengths instead of focusing on weaknesses?
I do.
Because some people believe that if you have a weakness, you should work on it.
Mm-hmm.
And more commonly now, the belief is your weaknesses can only improve so much.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you work on your strengths, the time is better used because you can find someone else to do those things that you're weak at.
Mm-hmm.
But only you can excel in your own unique areas. So rather than focusing on those things which you will never be good at or barely competent, let's say, why don't you focus on your strengths? Are you a believer in that?
Yeah, I do believe that if you've tried something and you're like, ooh, I'm not so good at this, then that's fine. You don't have to continue if it gives you stress. But if it gives you joy,
Yes.
then do it.
Yes.
I'll never be the best guitarist in the whole world. And it doesn't give me particular enjoyment. So I'm not going to continue with guitar lessons. That's me, right? But I love succulents. I'm still going to want to learn about succulents and I enjoy it. Will I be the Martha Stewart of succulents? Probably not. But I enjoy it. So I'm just going to keep doing it, right? So I do believe that you should actually focus on your strengths because number one, I think it will give you the most enjoyment. And I think number two, it'll actually help you develop into an expert in that one area and field. And people might go to you for, counsel or.
The more you are talking, the more I'm going to apply to Trader Joe's because
I see that.
Because my expertise is in the food area.
Yeah.
It really is. Like I read the labels. I'm really into the different flavor profiles. I kind of have a understanding of what is trending in food, and what might be palatable, and I have enjoyment. So enjoyment coupled with skill is like a double whammy. No one will be able to compete against me. I'm looking at you, Silver Lake Trader Joe's.
Well, I will say that anytime Wanru has come to a party of ours or get together, she always brings something that she has made herself.
Not always. No.
Many a time. And they're always hits. And it's a hit where it's like people don't expect it to be so good. And they're surprised. I'll give you an example. We recently had a Christmas party. And Wanru made these homemade Twix bars.
Yes.
But they're called
Millionaire shortbread bars.
Right. That is the bougie way of saying Twix. So, and I didn't eat any because I don't eat sweets, but everybody at the party was raving about it and sneaking it into their pockets and purses. They were taking a lot more than they should have. I'm looking at you, Tracy. And I think, the other one was the raspberry tartlet.
Yes, that's
that
right.
You made,
yes.
Which was beautiful and also got rave reviews. So I think there's something to be said there about your food connoisseurship.
Well, one thing for sure is because I have an interest in it. I have had many failures in cooking, many of which I have not introduced to the public. But because I have an interest in it, I keep working on it. So that goes back to what you're saying, which is if you have an enjoyment of it and you're willing to add to your skill set, which is what I do. I always attempt something new or different every time in my cooking. Then that's kind of how you succeed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And hide your failures like I do. in the
just
trash.
just sweep it under the rug.
Sweep it into the trash bin.
Throw it outside your patio.
Exactly.
The dogs will eat it. It's fine.
It's fine. Okay, so that was your next tip.
Yes, is to assess your skills, right?
See where what you're missing.
Yeah, see what you're
and
missing.
Supplement.
Did you know that Steve Jobs actually, when going back to assessing your skills and then kind of building upon your skill sets, he believed that he should every year build a skill that had nothing to do with his job.
No way.
So one year he decided that he wanted to be a calligrapher.
Steve Jobs?
Steve Jobs.
Wow.
Yeah, this is according to I believe it was a commencement address that he gave Stanford University, where he was trying to teach them or show them how kind of thinking outside of the box a little bit is helpful. And he said that one year he learned how to be a calligrapher. And that helped him in designing future Apple products because it took him out of his comfort zone, right?
How interesting.
And really quick side note, you guess who else is a calligrapher? Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle used to do calligraphy as her side hustle. She used to do wedding invitations. She was interviewed by Larry King a couple of years back when she was still on Suits, and he made her do calligraphy. It's very nice.
Did it look good?
Yeah, it looked really good.
Oh, wow.
I learned how to do calligraphy in high school. And coincidentally, me and Meghan Markle went to the same high school, Immaculate High School.
There are so many similarities, parallels between Meghan Markle
I'm so
and
royal.
Golda. I mean,
royal pain in the ass. Ba-doom boom bomb. That was okay joke.
but she's working on it. She will evaluate this in 2018. How were my jokes?
Yes, it's gonna go on my list of the meh.
No, but seriously, it is good to invest in skills that are related to your career.
Yeah.
But if there's something you enjoy, it will always add something to your work.
Did you do anything in 2018 that was sort of not like scientific related? Because Wanru is a scientist. A brilliant scientist.
I have done many, many things, including cooking challenges, baking challenges. And as all of you know, I keep beating this dead horse, but I take aerial classes.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
And do you feel like that has helped you in your job or in your life?
The way it's helped me is when you go to work and you describe to scientists what aerial is like.
Yes.
It is like you have sent them to another planet. Their brains are so jarred from what you have been talking about, climbing silks and trying to be Pink, the artist Pink, that they can't even concentrate on the data anymore, actually.
Yeah.
That is how jarring it is to my world. No, but I'm just teasing. It's great for my mental health, I think. I think it's great to do something so physical because my work is so cerebral.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's probably too lent towards your actual day-to-day, right? And making you more open to seeing things, maybe. I don't know. I have no idea what you do. But I just know she's a scientist.
I would say that if anything contributes to your well-being as a person, it will make you a happy and a pleasant person to be around. And work is sometimes just surviving being in the same place for 8 hours with these people.
I will say that sometimes like these little side skill building things that you do, like for example, for me in 2018, a skill that I was trying to build even more was improv.
Yes.
Right. So I took improv for improvisation for 3 months. And interestingly enough, I brought improv to my corporate job.
She sure did.
So
she led a workshop.
Yeah, and it became a big hit, and we did it throughout the country. So that was kind of fun. But it helped in many, many ways. So this building of your skill set, you never know, it might actually help you share that skill set with others in some form or fashion.
Absolutely. So
that was the second thing, was learning a new skill, and sometimes not, a skill as practical for the job that you have. But I heard that Jude Law, for example, the actor Jude Law, on the artistic side of the spectrum here, every time that he embarks on a new role, he learns a new dance.
A new type of dance.
A new type of not a choreography or anything. Today it's Man in the Mirror by Michael Jackson. No, he doesn't do that. He
Next week, it's Smooth Criminal.
Exactly.
I love that choreography, by the way.
Good.
It's so good. All right.
He does a different type of dance. Like he learned how to tap for one role, then he learned how to waltz for another role. And the reason he did that was to get himself out of his own head.
Nice.
So, I mean, that's another reason or potential benefit of learning something different, seemingly different than what you are doing as a career.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
So that was that one. And then my next one was to review and improve your social media.
Oh, interesting. Why is social media important nowadays?
Let me tell you. I think that in the olden days, you only had your resume, a paper resume or your CV that you submitted to a job, and they only looked at that. But now everyone can find you anywhere. All they have to do is Google you. And even though they shouldn't, companies shouldn't do that because it opens up a litany of possible problems there. Some companies will, and not that I advocate that. And if they do, then you should be ready. So Google yourself and see what pops up. So if pictures of you in Cabo with that big old yard of beer is popping up, then maybe delete that picture.
Clean up your social media presence.
That's right.
Would be your tip.
Clean it up. Clean up your pictures. Clean up your email address. So if your email address is John Smith likes to party every day of the week at gmail.com,
yeah,
you might want to get another email address.
Yeah, or like booty call 6969 at Gmail.
Or just regular by that time. So
just regular. What does that mean?
Well, 69, it's like they cancel each other out, don't they? I'm not very good with spatial relations.
What is going on? They're canceling
I don't know.
each other
They
out.
cancel each other out now.
Oh God! It's in reference to a sex act, but anyways, don't put that in your
don't put that
email.
in there.
Even if you were born in 1969, just do not put that anywhere in your email.
No, and then also note that many recruiters and many HR people are active on LinkedIn.
Yes.
So take a very good hard look at your LinkedIn profile and gussy it up a little bit.
I was actually going to say my number one tip for LinkedIn: get a professional looking photo.
Yes.
Please. God.
Yeah.
I mean, just among my friends and coworkers who I'm connected with on LinkedIn, the worst is that ambiguous shadow icon.
Oh, wait.
With
don't know who that is.
No picture.
Yep.
It's just the default picture when you don't have a picture.
Yeah.
You're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah.
Number two, anyone where you're wearing sunglasses or trying to look cool or it was taken in a mirror.
Yeah.
What image are you going to give to prospective employees?
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, people are so superficial.
Yep.
But let it work for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So everyone has a camera now. Everyone has a good quality camera on your phone. Wear an appropriate work outfit for your work. So if you're obviously an architect or if you're a fashion designer, you can have a different costume than somebody who works in a laboratory like me. Guess what my LinkedIn picture is?
What?
It's of me in a blue button-down shirt, which I never wear at work because I'm not going to get acid on that. And then I wore a very clean laboratory coat on top of that.
Ooh.
So I could look like a doctor.
Nice.
I could look like a scientist.
Yeah.
I could look like a
rocket engineer.
Yeah. Hey, whatever. But it gives that impression that I am a professional.
Yeah.
When really I'm just mastering the coffee break time. But I'm really
Little do they know
I'm mastering what kind of rooibos tea I'm gonna drink at coffee time. No, but it just helps. And I used to not give a lot of attention to my LinkedIn, and all I did was post a semi-professional looking photo. My views skyrocketed.
Interesting. You become more searchable too. What I will say too is that with LinkedIn, if you want to be found on LinkedIn, make sure that you provide a nice, concise, accurate summary
yes
of yourself. right? And try to include keywords, just a little, behind the scenes, what ends up happening when someone is, let's say an HR person is trying to find someone to fill a position, they'll look on LinkedIn and then they'll plug in a bunch of keywords such as CPA, rocket scientist, MBA, whatever.
Yes.
And the more that you have these keywords that they're looking for, the more that you will pop up on their search. So if you have nothing on your summary, you probably will not pop up a lot on searches. That's why I always say try and put as many keywords as you can in your summary of LinkedIn, or put in some keywords when you have that opportunity to put the description of your responsibilities for each job that you had. Put it there as well, and you'll pop up more on searches.
That's great.
That was the next thing I was going to say. So after gussing up your social media profile, cleaning it up as much as possible, you are your brand, and what is out there on social media is the brand that you are putting forth.
Good point.
So make sure that it reflects who you are, or at least the professional you.
Yeah, booty call 6969.
Yes.
Unless that's what you're going for. Unless that's what you want to
that's
sell.
what that's what your product is. I don't know. We
exactly.
don't know. We don't know that. So that would be my next thing, and sort of piggyback off what you were just saying about, the blue button down shirt and the lab coat and all of that, is dress for success.
Oh, yes.
Please.
Let's talk about this. What do you mean by this?
So it's just I hate to say it, and we've said it before, like in the dating situation, but in a career environment, it's the same. And that is, people will, whether or not they know it, will inadvertently or advertently, is that a word? Judge you based on how you present yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's physically how you present yourself. Do you come to work like you know what you're doing, professional? Are you a sharp dresser? It doesn't have to be expensive.
We keep reiterating this. Is it clean? Is it tidy? Is it professional?
Yeah. Is it ironed?
Is it ironed?
Yeah.
Is it the right tone?
Yeah.
Because a lot of women in my work, and it's up to you, it depends on the message you want to send.
Mm-hmm.
They go a little nightclubby type of style. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that's a totally fine message to send if that is what you want to send.
Yeah.
But if you want to be regarded in a serious way and not necessarily a sexual way, then you dress a different way.
Yeah.
Again, unfortunately, we live in a superficial world where people will sum you up within 2 seconds of meeting you.
Yeah.
So why not let it work to your advantage, especially in a competitive workplace environment?
Yeah. Find out what colors work for you. I know that sounds really superficial.
Oh my gosh.
But that can work wonders.
Oh, girl,
right?
let me tell you, this is a whole nother episode.
It is. Sorry. I went there.
Find out what your season is. You can even consult.
Winter, spring, summer, fall.
What are you, Golda?
I'm a winter.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
I'm a jewel tones. I can see that. Yeah.
We got a whole other topic. By the way, I have a teacher in 7th grade. Her whole life was autumn. The interior of her car had to match the autumn.
Was it burnt orange?
It was.
See.
And a burnt orange outside. Burgundy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot of orange.
A lot of orange. Anyways. But yeah, let it work in your advantage. Towards your advantage.
Yeah. That in-person brand is what I'm getting at, actually. What is that in-person brand that you want to project at your place of business, at your career, or even just within your network, right? So not only how you dress, which we've talked about, but also do you show up on time?
Very
Are you
nice.
early? Do you leave early? Do you call out for work all the time? Right? Even though you think, why should I care about that? Everyone should just mind their own business. Guess what? People are paying attention to that.
It's true. All those little things add up, and it adds to the picture of who they think you are.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a story for you directly from my friend who works for Eli Broad. Oh. Eli Broad is a very wealthy man here in Los Angeles. He's actually one of the founders of Kaufman and Broad, which is those people that sold homes, right?
Yeah, real estate.
Yeah, real estate. Mm-hmm. Anyways, he's a mogul, okay? And he's so rich that although his name is spelled B-R-O-A-D, he's gotten everyone to say Broad.
Oh.
because that's how he pronounces his name.
Not Broad.
Not Broad.
Wow.
Okay. So my friend works for Eli Broad, who's also a philanthropist, and his emphasis is on education. My friend Hua works for him.
Okay.
And Eli Broad, because he comes from a business background, wears a suit every single day, although now his nonprofit is focused on education. And one time he came up in the elevator, my friend Hua and his boss, Eli Broad, came up in the elevator together. And Eli just kind of glanced over at my friend Hua, gave him the little up and down.
Uh-oh.
And Hua was not dressed sloppily, but he certainly was not dressed business. It was more like business casual. And then after they separated from the elevator, Hua approached one of his friends who actually works very closely with Mr. Broad and said, "Tell me the truth. Do you think Mr. Broad noticed my clothes?" And this lady said he definitely did.
Oh, boy.
Because a man at his level with that much wealth and who's had this much success, he doesn't let the small details slip him by. And so Hua began to level up his clothes. He began to dress a little more business oriented. And that way he could feel more comfortable whenever he was in the presence of Mr. Broad. But a nice side effect is I asked him, I said, Hua, do you feel more professional? He goes, I do.
Yeah.
He's like, he actually feels more professional when he's dressed in a professional manner. And it just gives him that little bit of confidence, whenever he has to present or when he's a face, which he is. He's definitely the face of the program. He's a director there. And it just gives him that illusion of authority, whether or not he really has that authority, right?
Yeah, and there are plenty of people out there that are perfectly intelligent and able to acquire more responsibilities in their job and probably primed to be promoted. And how many times have you seen those people passed over?
Absolutely.
At your place of business or within your friendship circle? How many times have you seen that happen?
Because, I wish people weren't superficial, but we're all susceptible to that. Let me tell you how susceptible. I'll give another story.
Sure.
Okay, so I work in a laboratory which is regulated by the FDA. So we have audits. Okay, we have people coming to make sure that we're doing our testing properly, to tour the facility. And on those days, all managers, all directors wear ties.
So right.
Yeah. Normally they wear business casual, so they wear button-down suits and slacks. But when it's audit day, the ties come on, and you know what?
What?
They look sharp.
Looks good, right?
Looks good.
Yeah.
Right? They got the lab coat, they got the tie. We're hiding expired chemicals in the cabinets. Just kidding. Just kidding.
That was a joke.
That was a joke.
That was a little
Which
joke.
Broken glass everywhere. Just cover it with the paper towel.
Totally joking.
Just joking, FDA. But they're just the tie. When I see our managers and our director wear the tie, I have a sense of confidence in them.
Yeah.
They just look respectable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's the same thing. Our female directors and managers will wear their suits, their dress suits, and they look sharp. They wear their heels. I mean, man, our VP the other day was wearing like a lacy nightgown. No, nightgown.
That's a whole other approach.
Sorry, I still got booty call 69 on my mind here. No, not nightgown. A lace evening gown with heels, and then she put like a black blazer on top of it.
Ooh,
and
nice.
Man, I would have been so distracted if I was an auditor. I would have been like,
speaking of looks, let me arrange my hair real quick while you talk.
Golda's is gonna fix up her hair. But you could imagine she looked sharp and she looked really put together. Doesn't hurt during an audit, does it?
No, sure doesn't.
So
doesn't hurt.
I confirm and I back up your whole tip about just making sure you're presentable.
Yeah. And those little things definitely count. I mean, even in industries where you might be like, let's say at a tech industry where everyone's in jeans and tennis shoes or whatever, or if you're going to interview at a tech company and you know that it's a super casual environment, you still should step it up a little bit. So I remember I had a boss once who was super casual all the time. And I remember he had to interview somebody for a pretty high level position. And that person mistakenly thought that he could wear casual clothes because of the industry and because, hey, the boss was also super casual. would wear t-shirts, like ratty t-shirts and like, a hoodie or whatever. And this candidate thought he could do the same thing. Well, guess what? After his interview with the big cheese said, oh my gosh, this guy does not care about this interview. He did not present himself like he was at an interview. Pass. I mean, and everything else was on target, right? In terms of his experience, fit with the organization, but the fact that he didn't pay attention to presenting himself well at the interview spoke volumes. So, I mean, you have to take it with a grain of salt, because there are those companies that are like, no, we're totally chill, just come in shorts, or whatever, they might say that up front, then fine, roll the dice, see what happens. But I always say err on the side of, just being a little bit more presentable, a little conservative. So, for example, if you do want to go that route of dressing a little bit more cash, then make it really nice jeans, a really nice button up, right? Or a really nice jacket, or, or nice shoes. If you're going to wear tennis shoes, make it like not scuffy. Make it a very nice pair of, if you're going to go that route, just go up that notch above what it would normally look like if you think that would it doesn't matter. Just on the side of safety and just be a little bit more conservative.
Totally. And if you think this is totally superficial, it absolutely is. But it could literally be the difference between you getting a job or not getting a job, and you being promoted or not being promoted. And I've seen it at my work. People
so
being passed over because of their abilities, because their presentation is not as good as someone else. Unfortunately.
Okay. And you are, I mean, it really is your brand. I mean, how many times have I been in conversations where if it's it's only one position that's open for promotion, it's in many instances, it's the person who looks the part.
Right?
Horrible.
Who presents themselves better, which is so terrible. Yeah.
But, there are some lazy managers out there.
They sure are.
Who won't really look at performance reviews or things like that. They'll be like, Bob looks pretty good. Bob always comes to work dressed in, 3-piece suit. Let's give it to Bob. Everyone turned like someone from Chicago. All of a sudden, Bob, love it. Bob
always wears Oxford shoes.
Is that what that was?
I think Bob's perfect for this position.
You nailed the Chicago accent.
Martha wears Crocs to work.
She wears Crocs.
She can't possibly be any good at that job. She wears Crocs.
I think that's Boston.
Oh. Between New York and Los Angeles is a blur for me. It's a blur. Let me just say. It's an amalgam of cities. All right. Great tip. Okay. And I back you up.
So that is look the part, and also be mindful of how you treat people also. Because people like higher ups will pay attention to that as well. So that's part of your brand. How do you treat the people above you, and how do you treat the people below you?
Totally.
All of those things, your own personal career brand is going to be looked at.
Totally.
Okay?
Yes.
So that would be my next one. And then the next thing I would say, I'm assuming that you're going to have like a resume always at the ready, even though you're super happy where you are. Always have it looked at. Always tweak it. Always have it at the ready, because you never know. And that goes to my next tip, which is to always, I would say maybe once a quarter or so, start building your network, your career network.
How do you do that?
So a variety of different ways. You can look at previous academic institutions that you've been a part of. So go as far back as even elementary school.
What? Okay.
Yeah. Go like my elementary school. I keep in touch with a bunch of people like on Facebook from elementary, and I've never seen them since elementary school. And I still keep in touch with them. And, you never know who they know. You never know who they can introduce you to.
True.
High school, college, trade school. Previous jobs that you've been at, even the people that you didn't work directly with. LinkedIn has made it so easy. Facebook has made it so easy to stay in contact with these folks. And you can see where they work, or you can see where they have worked in the past. I've had people come to me that were introduced by 2 or 3 connections away from a friend.
2 or 3 degrees of separation.
Yeah. And I will take that call. I will set up that time to meet with them in person. And I've been awarded that kind of treatment as well from those degrees of separation. Don't be afraid to ask too. I think there's a difference between being pushy, but also there is something to be said about, having no fear of reaching out to someone.
Nice.
Right. So, try to increase those relationships, those networking opportunities.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Have you done any networking?
No.
No.
No, except unless it involved tea time.
Tea time.
No.
I think you network without you knowing it. So even when you do like social stuff, like when you go to parties or, you go to weddings or things like that, use that opportunity always to like find out about people,
Well, I must say, I must be guilty. I am very guilty of not polishing off my resume. Oh, and I never update my LinkedIn. So I'm guilty of that. And I must say it's easier to update your resume when you still have fresh in your mind what your job duties entail. Because have you ever tried to fill out a resume with your past work experience? It's a little foggy, right?
It sure is. And keep in contact with those people that you used to work with too.
Yes. And actually I would, if I needed a reference, I have a nice network of former supervisors and bosses that I could tap into. So those are always good resources, assuming you have a good relationship with them.
Yeah, the best way to, in your resume, when you say what your responsibilities are, the best way to remember is write it while you're still doing it.
Exactly.
That way you don't miss anything. Just write it while you're still doing it. Just, kind of keep it handy just in case.
Okay, that is definitely one thing I'll do in the New Year's is I'm going to update my LinkedIn profile with a more current job description.
Absolutely. The next thing I would say is, let's say you're in a situation where you're looking for a new job or you're not so happy where you are and you're kind of feeling your way and just trying to see what's out there.
Ooh, okay.
I think one of the things that I've advised folks in the past is pick the company that you want to work at.
Oh, interesting.
Not so much the job. You'll get there. Not saying that you're going to ignore that part, but pick the company first. Because it's hard to find a company with people that you want to work with.
Interesting. So you're saying focus more on the work environment.
Yeah.
Because the work is not as important as the work environment.
Yeah. Usually the lot of jobs that are actually available aren't even posted.
Oh. So if you get your foot in the door at a company you enjoy or you enjoy the coworkers there, you will eventually go into the right role as long as you've got your foot in the door. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I think that, absolutely. There's that. And also you never know who's in your network or who you might know at this company that you want to work at. So let's say as an example, you want to work at Google.
Yes.
Right. So you have it in your head. I have to work at Google in Santa Monica, California.
Or like me. Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
Monrovia.
Okay. Even better. I want to work at Trader Joe's Monrovia. I'm going to throw it out to the headquarters.
It's a flagship store. I asked them, is this the flagship store? And they're like, it is. That's because Monrovia is the headquarters of Trader Joe's. But yes, go on.
That's new information. That's interesting. Okay. So let's say you want to work at Trader Joe's in Monrovia. Okay. That's your target.
Okay. That's my target.
This is your
folks.
dream.
Okay. Here we go.
Your dream. So what I would do is get on LinkedIn. If you haven't already created a profile, create a profile. Start friending some folks. Right?
Right.
Start friending some folks. And what you'll find is hopefully you'll start to see that, 1 or 2 people might know someone at Trader Joe's.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And then you reach out to those people that might know someone at Trader Joe's and say, I noticed that Golda and Wanru, who works at Trader Joe's. Would it be possible to introduce me to your friend? 9 times out of 10, they will say yes. That's the way it works in LinkedIn. I know it sounds weird, but especially if you've never used it in this way before, but it happens. That's a big tool that you can use with LinkedIn.
Yes.
And then they said, sure. So they introduced you to someone on LinkedIn. Then you do your due diligence about Trader Joe's. So you look on a variety of tools out there so that you can find out, is Trader Joe's really all it's cracked up to be in my mind? Let's find out. And one of the places you can go to see how a company is doing, like in terms of, happiness at work, is Glassdoor.
Nice.
Glassdoor is a really wonderful place to go. People that like the companies can't edit any of the reviews. So what's on there is on there. Try looking on there, look at Trader Joe's or whatever company, look at the people who've been there. And then there's a way to look at people who used to work there and see if there's a lot of turnover.
I see.
That's usually a telltale sign that a company is not so great.
I see.
Is if people tend to leave like after 1 year or 2 years even and don't stay for a long period of time. That's a little red flag there. And then once you do make that connection, what I would do too is, remember how I said a lot of companies don't post positions?
Yes.
Yeah, you could just say, hey, I would love to make an introduction to whatever department you might be interested in. So for you, it's like the food R&D department or something.
Yes.
And then make that introduction. And it might not go anywhere at that particular date and time, but you never know, if you continue with that relationship or you continue with that interaction, then, I've done that many times where people will come to me on LinkedIn using the same thing. So-and-so introduced me to you. I hope it's okay that I reach out to you. Or a connection of mine will say, I have a friend who's interested in you. Would you mind talking to them? And I'll say, sure. And if something doesn't really match what they're looking for at that time, I keep a running list. So you don't know. Not everybody will do that, but you never know. And it's a good way to sort of plant that seed.
Great tip.
So yes, look at the company, do your research on the company, and then go from there versus looking on Indeed.com or Monster.com and plugging in admin assistant or scientist or food researcher and then being sort of at the disposal or at the mercy of whatever companies happen to be looking at that time.
Interesting. Very good.
Yeah. So that's that. Do you have any questions?
These are all very informative. You're answering my questions as you go.
Yay. Okay. Awesome. All right. And then the next thing I would say, and how am I doing on time? Am I okay? Guess we're okay.
Let's check with Gertie. How long has it been going? I didn't start the timer. It's 41 minutes. Okay.
Now this next thing is something
46 minutes. Okay. So let's do maybe 10 more minutes.
Sure.
Okay.
This next thing is something that actually I learned from Shonda Rhimes.
What?
Shonda Rhimes, the megawatt producer, writer, director, I think, even added to her repertoire. She wrote a book a couple of years back called The Year of Yes. And she talks about how she used to say no to a lot of things because she was tired. She didn't want to do it. And
she had a lot of fears she had to work through. Yeah, and insecurities as well.
Yeah. And then one year she decided she would say yes to everything, and it completely turned her life around.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the premise of the book. But in the book, she also talks about a lesson that her father taught her. Her father is a professor, a tenured professor at USC. And her mother also is a professional as well. And Shonda Rhimes went to USC for film school as well. And something that she was taught by her father was, you must work harder than the average person, like 3 to 4 times harder than just the average person in order to succeed in life. And I think that's an important lesson to learn when you're looking at your career, is you can't just skate by and just do bare bones minimum of everything. You have to always work hard, but more importantly, work smart.
And what do you mean by that?
That's the big one. I think that as in this day and age and in this remote age, meaning to say that a lot of folks are now working remotely. You don't have to come into the office all the time to work. As long as you get the work done, no one cares how hard you worked on it. Just do it. I think that it's no longer a badge of honor to show everybody, I'm so busy. Look how hard I'm working. I'm so busy. I think once upon a time that was effective. Now, at least from my vantage point, it's looked at as that person is inefficient. That person doesn't know how to do their job in a timely way. They lack time management skills. So it's better to, what is your output? What is the product that comes out? Were you able to get it done ahead of schedule even, right? And if you are, then you are able to work smart.
Interesting.
Yeah. And people will admire that. And actually, you might even be the person that people will go to and say, how did you do that? So you'll be your own in-house guru, which again will elevate you, in the eyes of decision makers as well.
I would also say this is a tip from Jordan Peterson, who's a Canadian psychologist and professor at the University of Toronto. He has a lot of online fame, but he has 12 rules for living a good life. And one of them kind of resonated with me when you were talking about Shonda Rhimes, which is, he says, I'm just paraphrasing here, but just assume that the job is your responsibility. Take on responsibility.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people view their work as, I'm doing it, I've checked it off the list, I'm done. How fast can I get that done? Or in some people's case, they don't even complete it, right? But the way to really excel, assuming you want to excel at your job, is to say, I own this. I own my job duty. I'm going to do it well. What's the next thing? What else can I take responsibility for? And I've always told people I work for, because they always ask, how do I get promoted as a chemist? I said, number one, finish your work in a timely manner. Number two, ask, what else do you need from me?
Yeah.
What else can I do? Because nothing is outside the realm of your responsibility. Even if it's to clean or to take on another more difficult task, by asking for that, it will definitely, you will stand out heads above other people just by doing that one thing, just by asking, I finished what I needed to do. What else do you need? I think every employer would love to hear that. Right?
Oh yeah. Music to your ears to ask. If I were a CEO and someone said, I'm finished what I'm doing because I work smart. I finished what I'm doing. What else can I do? So asking for that additional work. So kind of a little bit like what Shonda Rhimes said with the year of yes, was to just keep, don't just settle for what you have in your mind to do or the minimum of what someone expects you to do. Always try and strive above that.
Great tip.
I think saying yes to everything, because I can even say just in 2018 for myself, there were a lot of things in my corporate job that I did that I said yes to a lot.
You sure did.
A lot more yeses than in previous years. And I think I'm definitely feeling the benefit of that, not just for my own personal development and professional development, but I think also, in terms of, helping with, moving up the ladder, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Which brings me to my next thing, which I'm going to just completely eradicate what I previously said. Well, maybe not. Okay. Maybe not. And this is something that Sheryl Sandberg says.
Yeah.
In her book, Lean In. Yes. Sheryl Sandberg, the COO, right? COO of Facebook, wrote a famous book called Lean In. And one of the things that she says, specifically as it relates to women and their careers, is that the corporate ladder is no longer a ladder. So it's no longer this vertical, right, that you're used to. The career ladder you should always think of as a jungle gym.
Oh,
so you can go to the side, you can go down, you can go at a diagonal, what you would normally view as a jungle gym. And the reason she says that is, don't be so confined to, okay, if I'm an accountant 1, then the next level is accountant 2, then the next level after that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You are limiting yourself and limiting the skills that you can acquire or learn because you're thinking so linearly, right? So think in terms of a jungle gym. And if there are opportunities in other parts of your company or organization or whatever, and it interests you and you want to acquire those skills, go for it. Learn it, right? And if they're open to it and that's the environment that you have there, then even more so. Because in her career, she did many different things, not just operations type of work, in order to get to where she is now. It gave her a broader exposure, broader sense of how a company is run, which made her invaluable in her current role. So don't just think of your career as a ladder. Think of it as a jungle gym.
Interesting. That's how I'm going to make the leap from pharmaceutical scientist to food preparation specialist.
And you can talk about the scientific dynamics of the food. Is that a thing?
Sure. How acidic the coffee is?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to get me right in the door.
They don't even know they need that. You're going to add that to their, must-haves.
Exactly. I'm going to jungle gym my way over there. Monkey bar my way over to Trader Joe's right now. No, but that was really helpful.
Yes. And consequently, we know that, a woman that we both admire, Michelle Obama, had some things to say.
Yes.
Right.
I would actually like to read a quote of hers.
Okay.
So for those of you who are out there working hard, feeling not the best about the position that you're in or the next leap you're going to make, for anyone who struggles with confidence in the world of work, I read this amazing quote from her. And she says that even to this day, as the former First Lady of the United States, she has imposter syndrome.
It was amazing.
She feels like she's faking it. And what she realized being exposed to so many high-powered people is you sometimes do have to fake it. And the secret is everyone is.
Yeah. Didn't she even say that she's been to a lot of meetings with high-powered people? And she said that a lot of them aren't even very smart.
That's exactly what she said. She goes, here's the secret. I have been at probably every powerful table that you can think of. I have worked at nonprofits. I have been at foundations, et cetera, et cetera. I have sat at the UN. They are not that smart.
Wow. And the people at the UN are like, unfriend on Facebook. I doubt they're that
United
petty.
Nations.
I doubt they're that petty.
But not united with Obama.
I obviously don't have UN friends.
Unfriended by the UN. Wow, that would be painful.
That is a big bad.
Oh my God.
But Michelle Obama's new book is Becoming, I believe, is what it's called. She's got a lot of interesting tidbits. And I believe in an interview with Michelle Obama, she does talk about Lean In and Sheryl Sandberg.
Oh, and what did she say about that?
I don't have the quote exactly, but I'll find it and put it in the show notes. But it has something to do with how the whole lean in thing, it doesn't work for everybody.
Oh, so interesting.
I think it's, what I'm gathering from that statement, I could be wrong, is that, Sheryl Sandberg comes from a place of privilege, right? So how she is able to move forward is very, very different than, Michelle Obama, who is a diverse person, and she doesn't have, a ton of connections, things like that. So
yeah.
I think that that was what she was getting at. I think because Michelle Obama's been, doing some talks here and there to promote her book. So
this is very interesting. And this is probably a larger topic than just careers. I would sort of categorize this into life paths, which is I have read Lean In audiobook.
Me too.
I have not read Michelle Obama's book, but will soon do so.
I have it on Audible.
And I do believe that Sheryl Sandberg addressed those who are in the working class or who might struggle and things like that. I'm talking about women specifically in the workplace. I think Sheryl Sandberg actually addressed it very well, which is that society needs to support women in their career aspirations. So we as a society have a responsibility for people who don't have as much money to pursue their life paths. So in that way, I actually see Sheryl Sandberg's point, but I also see Michelle Obama's point, because some people are incredibly ambitious and some people are not. Some people are artistic and need the freedom to express themselves, and they need to have less limitations on them. And some people work great in a structure. I actually am very good at working the system, quote unquote, in a very structured work environment. I always excel. I'm not saying that is what makes me happy to my core. But that is one of my strengths, is that within a structure, I am able to work my way through the ranks quite well. And some people enjoy that type of lifestyle. So the key is find your strengths, find what's worked for you in 2018, find what didn't work for you in 2018, and then say, knowing this about myself, if I were to shape my career in 2019, what would that picture look like?
Yeah. And I would say on top of that, real quick, is to be authentic.
To yourself.
To yourself. Yeah.
True.
So no matter how all of this, no matter what tips you get from us or anywhere else, if you're not being who you are and you're not being true to who you are, I always say, be true to who you are, and that opportunity will materialize for you.
Interesting.
Right? Like I always think about how, I'm just going to be who I am. And if the company doesn't decide to hire me or doesn't decide to promote me or what have you, then they're not jiving with who I am, or they're not accepting of who I am. And maybe there's another company or community that will. And that's where you're going to be. You'll be able to really shine and fulfill your potential.
These have all been great tips.
Yay!
I have one last question for you, but do you have anything else you want to wrap up with?
No, I think that's it. I think that's a lot to sort of
digest,
take away for now, being so early in the year. But we'll do some kind of follow-ups sporadically throughout the year, and hopefully kind of dive into more detail.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my last question for you.
Yeah.
Because you have interviewed how many people? Hundreds? Thousands of people in your 20 years of experience in recruiting. What is the one thing you wish interviewees knew when they come in for a job interview?
Oh, great question. I would say the one thing I would hope that people remember.
Wear deodorant.
That don't do magic tricks. It's cool after you're hired, not during the interview.
It's not a good day to get a fake tan.
No, don't do that peel microdermabrasion the day before. What I will say, in all seriousness, I think the biggest thing that I would hope for people to remember, especially if you're applying for a job and they don't know you, is they want to hire you.
Oh, I did not expect that. Wow. What do you mean?
They want to hire you. All you have to do is give them reasons to hire you.
Look at that.
That's it. It's not hard.
So you think you're like
hard.
Struggling uphill. Like there's this huge insurmountable mountain to climb. But they're like, no, it's all downhill. You just gotta coast. You just got to help us help you.
Give them a reason. Make it really easy for them.
And what would be some of those reasons that they'd want to hire you?
Have a wonderful attitude. Be someone that they can hang around for 8 hours a day, right? Have a wonderful attitude. Be positive. Be skillful at whatever it is that you're applying for. Be honest about those skill sets. Be exceptional in those things. Be the rock star in that thing that you're interviewing for. Be the one that they're going to be afraid that the competition hires. If they're afraid that the competition hires you instead of them, be that person.
These are great tips.
Right?
And if you don't feel that way, just present yourself that way.
Yeah.
Like Michelle Obama says, right? You might feel like an imposter, but everyone's an imposter.
Yeah, and you only have to do it for this initial thing.
Exactly.
So just get yourself up by the bootstraps and go for it, because it's there for the taking.
That's a fantastic tip, adding to all the fantastic tips you've given us today. Thank you, Golda.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Here is a segment of products we love. Someday this will come true. Dream sponsors.
So Wanru, we're about to launch into one of my favorite segments on our show called Dream Sponsors. So who is your dream sponsor? And again, to remind everyone, a dream sponsor segment here, they're not really our sponsors.
Aw.
We're not getting paid for this. These are actually companies or products that we have used and we loved, and we want to share with you guys regardless of whether we get paid for it. But
Yes.
if they do decide to pay for it, then there are our dream sponsors.
Exactly.
Wanru, who is your dream sponsor?
Well, since this is our career episode,
Yeah.
I wanted to pick a work-related item.
Oh.
And I didn't realize, but I have become completely dependent on this particular product.
Oh, okay.
And it is a Microsoft ergonomic keyboard.
Ooh.
So
What
I
does it look like?
Hey, it's one of those. I'm sorry I couldn't bring
Looks
it.
like a
It's kind
keyboard.
of bulky.
Okay.
But right. It's shaped like a wave.
Oh, yeah. I think I've seen those.
Okay. And instead of a traditional keyboard, which is straight, it's curved, kind of a little bit like a U.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Like a
Yeah.
smiley face.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've seen those.
And it's got a hump in the middle.
Okay.
It's all kinds of weird things about
Okay.
it. But what happened was at my work, I noticed that my wrists were really starting to bother me.
Ooh.
I do lots of typing, lots
Yeah.
of protocols and reports and blah, 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 Excel spreadsheets.
Mm-hmm.
And I just said, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. So my work has a ergonomics program. They got me this keyboard
Mm-hmm.
and I liked it so much. I went on eBay, my favorite place, and I bought 4 more.
4?
Yeah.
Why'd you buy so many?
Backups.
Oh, are you afraid that it'll die out or
Exactly.
something?
Yeah.
Oh,
For $15 a piece, I bought 4. So I have.
Wow.
I'm a minimalist, except
was
when
gonna
it comes
say,
to the.
Aren't you like our Marie Kondo?
I'm a Marie Kondo,
But not of
except
keyboards.
but not of keyboards. And and just like every other weird ergonomic thing, it takes a little while to get used to.
Okay.
But once you type on this, you will never want to go back.
Really?
So there's 2 brands I recommend. The Microsoft Natural Ergonomic Keyboard, which is the one I use. It's bigger. It's humpier. It's a smiley face humpy keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a new one out, which is the Microsoft Sculpt Ergonomic Keyboard, which is a little sleeker, but it has the same curvature. Now, let me tell you, okay?
How's your wrist?
My wrists are fantastic, but for those of you at home and who can see me on YouTube, you see how thin my wrists are?
Yes, you have bird wrists. Do birds have wrists?
But yeah,
If they did,
they would look like this.
they would look like that.
And this is 100% because of my ergonomic keyboard. No joke. I started typing on this and my carpal tunnel symptoms were relieved and I was feeling
no.
better. And then my wrists shrank.
So this is a good diet for your wrists.
If you feel you have the cankles of wrists, what would you call that? A hand arm. Arm?
I don't
You
know,
know,
like
a cankle is a calf ankle.
like log wrists.
What's a hand arm? Harm.
A harm.
Okay.
That sounds good.
I don't know. Let's say you have a clunky, chunky wrist.
Yeah.
From me,
Hard
just
to find bracelets that fit.
watches are always
Watches.
snapping off.
Like Incredible Hulk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you put your hand up to your face in a photo and it looks like it's like a lumberjack's arm, it doesn't match your face. You might want to try the Microsoft
Interesting.
ergonomic keyboard. Now, these claims are not backed by Microsoft.
This is just a
Personal observation.
for you. For
Yes.
you personally.
For
That's
me,
it.
a population of 1, sample size
Okay.
of 1. Okay, they have
Okay.
other claims like it'll reduce carpal tunnel and strain, and I believe all those
That's
things are
good.
true.
It's
But it
helpful.
also makes your wrists into these little bird wrists.
Why did you lose weight in your wrists?
I don't know. I couldn't understand why my wrists got so puny. What happened?
interesting.
And the only thing I swear to God, the only thing I could think of is I've been using this ergonomic keyboard for 15 years.
So for all you aspiring hand models out there that have always received feedback from the agencies and various
From your hand modeling agency.
saying can't do, your wrists are as fat as blocks. This is maybe a good way to remedy the situation.
You have perfect cuticles and you have perfect bony knuckles.
Yes.
But your
Length of fingers are just right, candlesticks as they call them.
But your wrists are god awful. Just so chunky. Never will pass muster.
No, not
Anyway.
delicate.
So anyway,
Yeah.
that's my dream sponsor.
Lovely.
Microsoft. You're one of the biggest corporations out there. Drop us a line
Call us or email.
on the ergonomic keyboard.
Well, do you also have, what do you use for your mouse?
I use a normal mouse, but my
Oh.
coworkers swear by those weird mouses that you don't move your hand. You just, it's a trackball mouse. They also swear by those. Again, there's a bit of a learning curve with that. But for me, I found my major issue was with typing out, not with the mouse. But a lot of my coworkers love that trackball mouse.
We can do a whole episode on ergonomic setups because there's this one mouse that I have that looks like the width of a keyboard, but they're small, tiny little roller things, and that's your mouse.
And you have to use both of your hands to operate it?
No, not necessarily. I just do because I think I'm rolling gnocchi. But anyway, there's that. I think the mouse has a lot to do too with alleviating any sort of carpal tunnel.
I see. I'm happy with the slenderness of my wrists already. I'm afraid if I add another ergonomic thing,
you're just gonna disappear.
My wrists will just evaporate.
Just have a floating hand with one thread of a vein connecting you. Oi,
that's dangerous. All right,
okay.
So that's my dream sponsor. What about you, Golda?
Well, mine is very similar to yours, a nice complement to yours, and something that I use at work and at home. And it's also for ergonomic help. And this is for when you sit down a lot. So if you have the type of work where you're constantly sitting, you're at a desk, and you forget to get up and stretch and do all that stuff, then this might help. I have it here with me. For those who are listening, you might want to check out our YouTube so you can see what I'm talking about here. But this is a product. It's a backrest that's made out of, what is this called? Memory foam. And it's by a company called Kensington. So what you do is you just strap on this pillow, basically, this sculptured pillow to the back of your chair, and you can
love that
lower
sculptured pillow.
Yeah, you can lower it so it supports your lumbar. And I tell you, before I even got this, I used to have an achy back all the time, and my back would hurt. And then it'd take me a while to sort of warm up so that I can walk right. But ever since I got this, it's helped me tremendously. And as an accompaniment to this, I also have memory foam pillows for my armrests.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but everybody's different. But whenever I'm sitting at my desk, I oftentimes lean my elbows and my forearms on the armrest of my chair. And if you don't have any proper support, or if it's a hard surface that you're resting it on, you're actually, over the course of time, you could potentially do damage to your nerves.
Oh my.
Because you're compressing it, right? You're pushing down on it. So over the course of time, and then added to that, you're mousing, you're keyboarding. And if you don't have the proper ergonomic support for those things, that's just a disaster waiting to happen. So I have these memory foam pillows type thing that's actually fitted to armrests that you can put on your armrests of your work chair or your computer chair. And then now, like when I rest my arms on my armrest, it's so comfy.
Wow. So you have the lumbar support on your back, the memory foam support on your arms.
And go ahead.
And do you have one under your butt?
Yeah, I have one under my butt as well, which I am sitting on right now, which is, I'll show the good people on YouTube, and I'll provide it on the show notes. But it looks like a U.
Yeah, it's a U-shaped memory foam.
Yeah.
Flat cushion. And that's for your butt. I mean, there's a more technical name for this on Amazon, I'm sure. I'm sure it's called
I think it's called a coccyx. Not
coccyx
clinical.
Coccyx cushion?
Yeah, that's the one.
It's a coccyx cushion.
Yeah, and it helps so that you're not bunching up like your L4, L5, L6, I think, together. So you're not compressing your
bones?
Yeah, on your spine. The little cushioning in between your spinal cord.
Yeah.
Right?
So Golda, it seems like you're enveloped in this
I am
memory
so
foam.
cushioned. So when I go to restaurants and it's just a hard wooden chair, I'm like, what is this peasantry? Give me my pillows. I'm not even like 90 years old and I'm like surrounded by pillows.
Could you imagine if you went to a stadium and you had to sit on a like flat bench
No.
for like 3 hours? How would you feel?
Oh, it's painful.
Right?
It's painful. Definitely have done that. That's why they sell those pillows at like Dodger Stadium and stuff like that for you to sit on.
Yeah.
And you know, some people, they bring their own. That's me. I got my whole pillow set up, my whole memory foam pillow set up.
But you know, it's important to take care because you work sometimes 8 hours a day in that chair.
Yeah.
So it's important to take care of the ergonomics of your work environment.
I forgot to tell you the other thing where I put pillows
Uh-oh.
is my mouse pad.
Oh, yeah. Essential.
So where you rest your mouse pad, and not only where the mouse pad is, but like right where your wrists rest.
You need a wrist gel pad.
Yeah, I actually have a very cushy memory foamy / beads.
Why is every
wrist
surface you
pad.
touch like non-rigid?
Because
It's all cushioning.
Because it's that weight on your nerves that could seriously do nerve damage. This is where carpal tunnel comes into play.
You should just get that teddy bear from Costco. You know, the one that is the size of 3 people. And you should just put it all around your office.
I'm just going to walk around with that thing.
Strapped
like
to your back.
Yeah.
Piggyback.
You should see my car. It's one big sofa.
It's like a lazy boy strapped into the Prius.
Yes. I'm all about comfort, right? And protection. So you're not pressing against your nerves. Nerves are very important.
Golda's tip is to cushion every possible hard surface.
It's made a difference, I'll tell you. Like, I remember before not having this, I would be all kind of achy and I'd always have to ice like my arm and all this type of stuff. And now it's like worlds better.
Okay, what about your feet? You haven't talked about your feet. Are your feet cushioned?
Not really. I just wear the regular shoes to oh, but they do have this thing where it's like a stool or something that you can elevate your feet. I don't like those. You should just bring an ottoman with a big cushion on it. And that's all you need. It's all that fancy, like the stools that like all these like staples and
tilt
stuff.
like 5 different angles. You don't need that. A fuzzy ottoman.
No, just have like a nice cushy, like a beanbag even.
Oh my God.
Something cushy. That's all you need. You don't need all that crazy stuff.
Okay, I keep laughing at you, but can I just tell you one story about how a chair at my work caused me pain?
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah. So we used to have these beat up office chairs, just beat up and nasty and dirty. And I never had any issues. And then they were all changed out for these Herman Miller chairs. Now, Herman Miller is, right? He is
the creme de la creme.
Top of the line office chair.
Yeah.
It's the gold standard.
Expensive too.
Except my body is more acclimated to the beat up old broken in chairs that 100 butts have crushed.
Oh man.
Because it was too rigid. These chairs actually held your back in an upright 45-degree position. I think they wanted us to like not slack off at work. And I didn't really notice anything. I just would use them and it'd be fine. It wasn't cushy. It wasn't adapted like Golda has adapted. Like Golda would not sit in that for 2 minutes. She's like, let's get some cushioning on these arms. I mean, she would have cushioned that whole thing up.
I would have gone to Bed Bath & Beyond, gone straight to the pillow section.
Cover that whole thing up, that Herman Miller chair.
All good.
Ruin all the graceful lines of that chair. But yes, I was just using it and I was fine. And then one day I was sitting at the dining room table and I was just eating and I felt like hot water was being poured down my thigh.
Ooh, that's not good.
And I jumped up and there was no hot water.
Oh boy.
And then after a while, I realized that the feeling kept recurring over and over again from my hip down to the top of my knee. And I researched it and I had a pinched nerve in my hip area that ran down my leg. If there's a name for it, I forgot the name of it. And it said, here are the tips to reduce this nerve inflammation. Number 1, lose weight. And I was like, no, thank you. Number 2, stop wearing such tight pants. Maybe related to number 1. No, thank you.
I'm keeping my tight pants.
I like my tight pants. I look fat when I'm not wearing my tight. Come on. I got a problem
Or
with
just don't wear pants.
in the office.
Just wear a robe. No one will say anything.
I got it's for my nerve damage. Number 3, stop crossing your legs.
Oh, interesting.
I was like, I don't know.
Huh. That's your natural state.
I don't know why I'm so offended. I got so offended when I read that. I go, how dare you? How dare you try to control the way I sit? And after reading all of these things,
impressive.
I know. After reading all of these tips, I literally did not change my behavior. And after suffering for a couple months, I was like, I gotta get to the bottom of this.
Yeah.
And I
months.
Thought,
That's a long time.
Yeah. And I didn't change any of my behaviors. Thanks, WebMD. And and I realized the only thing that changed was my office chair. And I went to the basement of our building and dug up those old musty chairs and cleaned it up. And then I gave away my Herman Miller chair. I feel fantastic. The pain was alleviated immediately.
Wow.
Immediately.
I think everybody's body is shaped differently, right?
Absolutely,
So
yeah.
I don't think, sorry, Herman Miller, not
Herman
working
Miller.
for everybody. I will say I have a Herman Miller, I have an Aeron chair at work and at home. And the only way I can make it work is to put all the pillows on it. Because if I just took it as is, I would have had that boiling water effect on my thighs also. Yeah, that's the only reason why it works.
Oh, God.
I'm sure the Herman Miller family members are like aghast right now.
I'm so sorry. They are not our dream sponsors this week.
No, it's the pillows.
But if you want to
around
contact
it.
us, Herman Miller, we'll make it work. We'll make it work.
We like your console tables.
And those are our
Dream sponsors.
Well, I felt like I learned a lot in this careers episode, Golda.
Great.
So thanks so much to you and your tips.
You're welcome. I hope that folks out there will find this useful to start off the new year. And especially if you've got maybe a New Year's resolution to improve your career status or where you are in your career, I think this hopefully will help.
Mm-hmm. So looking back over this podcast, what stood out in your mind?
I would have to say the thing that stood out for me as far as something that you said was, in all seriousness, was if you do have a job or a career where you are sitting all day and, are at a desk in front of a computer or a laptop or what have you, just pay attention to the ergonomics of your setup. That cannot be undersold here. Again, I've been doing HR for 20 years, and a lot of that time is behind a desk. And I am just so grateful that I don't have any major issues or anything, but I know of folks who've had really bad carpal tunnel, really bad nerve damage, back issues, and I think that a lot of it was attributed to their desk setups, their keyboard, their mouse, their cushions, their pillows, all that stuff. So you can definitely read or learn a lot more about that, and I definitely would want folks to do that.
By the way, this is so evil, but sometimes I look at my coworkers when they're working, and and their monitors are low and their keyboards all cramped up, and they don't got any cushioning, like their mouse pad doesn't have anything, and they're
being poked by all of the sharp angles.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they're hunched over like Quasimodo, right? Like typing away. And then I just observed them and I said, may I make a suggestion? And they're like, what? And I say, may I just lift your monitor a little bit? It's adjustable. Can I lift it to eye level? And I lift it up and they're like, whoa. And they straighten their back. And I go, may I offer you this gel cushion mouse pad? Let's try this. Does this feel better? I found it in the lab. There's extra ones. And they'll be like, yeah, that's nice. And may I make a last suggestion? Maybe you should turn your keyboard and your monitor straight on so you don't have to twist your body like that. And they're like, yes. And they turn into human beings. Before they were all cramped up, looking like a troll under a bridge. And they're like in that position, crouched up. But sometimes you just don't realize you're so cramped up and crouched up. So offer a hand to your coworker.
Yeah. And also what I learned is this little fat wrist of mine gonna get more slim in 2019 using this new keyboard that Wanru has recommended. So I'm gonna get that keyboard.
This is not a Microsoft claim.
And I'm going to get skinny, fragile bird wrists. That's what I learned. What about you, Wanru? What have you learned?
Okay,
today?
in all seriousness, I did learn that it's a good time. You should do it all the time. But why not take this time to do a self-evaluation? Because we don't really think about our careers in that way. And the goods, the highs, the meh, the skill sets that are missing, to get a really nice overall picture of your job, and what a great way to move into 2019 with such a good vision of what you'd like to have.
I mean,
I know what my vision is.
What is it?
Samples.
Trader Joe's samples? What about Costco? Do you like Costco samples?
They don't have
It's crazy though at Costco.
They don't have as much unique items as Trader Joe's, and I feel like it's just a cattle feed over there.
It's so competitive for those samples.
I know.
People are elbowing me in the eyes.
They sure are.
Just to get to those dumplings. I'm like, you're only getting like a quarter of the dumpling. Relax, people.
That's why I like Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
Because they know the samples will always be there for them. Costco is a lack mentality.
There is a lack
mentality. I gotta get this lemon meringue pie before it disappears.
Did you know that at Trader Joe's they have a policy where they'll open up any product in the store if you want to try it?
Wow.
I saw that in a BuzzFeed top 25 things about Trader Joe's you didn't know. It's true. If there's something that's in Trader Joe's that you want to try, they are required to open it and let you try it.
Dang.
So if there's that bottle of vodka, you're like, I wonder what vodka tastes like. They have to open it.
I wonder what the sturgeon caviar tastes like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But that's what I will take away is a good point to do. A self-evaluation.
Yeah, absolutely. I also, just to piggyback off that really quick, starting now, open up a document on your desktop and start listing down as things happen. Just add to it throughout the year, and where it is. So if someone gives you kudos, type it in your little document. The chairman of the board said I did a really great job with the presentation, or that time when I coached that one person that was that wasn't doing very well. Or, I decided to go on this committee, blah, blah, blah. Because you're going to forget as the months roll along. So just keep an ongoing open on your desktop document and then just add to it.
And don't forget to always type it in with your Microsoft Ergonomic keyboard.
With the appropriate mouse and gel cushioning for your wrists as well as your legs and feet. Be mindful of your legs and feet too, folks.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode and that it kicked you off for a great 2019.
Yes.
If you enjoyed it, please don't be afraid to review, subscribe, contact us on YouTube or on iTunes.
Yeah, or even email us. We have a Gmail account called the Ganru@gmail.com. We love hearing from you. If you have any comments as far as what we shared with you today, or if you have any of your own tips and tricks or things that you do for your own career that you'd like to share with us, we'd love to hear it, and we're open to sharing it with everyone here. Sharing is caring, as they say.
Unless it's
something
gel cushion of your keyboard.
Oh, I was going to say something else.
Okay.
But we don't have to go there. So until next time, I am Golda.
And I'm Wanru.
And this has been The Ganru Show.
Bye.
Bye.